Farmer Samson Ogbole is a young Nigerian agricultural entrepreneur. He is the team lead for Soiless Farm Lab, where technology is used as an enabler for agriculture. Farmer Samson is a two-time TEDx speaker and a one-time TED speaker, featured on CNN's African Voices, BBC, and so on. Agriculture for Farmer Samson is more than just food production. He believes agriculture must adopt a business mindset, technology, automation, precision, data, and be climate smart. He believes food production should not be seasonal because hunger is not seasonal. Good morning, everyone. You're welcome to another edition of Operation Feed the Nation. So the main aim of this program is to sensitize the general public to actively participate in agricultural practices. This is to ensure self-sufficiency in food production. I am Hati Nkoyo. I'll be your host today, and with me I have an interesting young man who believes that since hunger isn't seasonal, food production shouldn't be seasonal. And he's had a very remarkable innovation in the agricultural space. A lot of us haven't heard about soilless farming, and so he's just going to give us a rundown of how that goes, and I guess it's going to be something very interesting. And with me I have Samson Ogbole.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Samson. It's good to have you on the program again. So could you just briefly describe yourself and give us a background of Samson Ogbole?
Yeah, background of Farmer Sam. I studied biochemistry as a first degree, rounding up my PhD in biochemistry. I got into agric. I would say I was fortunate to get into agric, not because I wanted to become a farmer,
Okay.
but because I had the opportunity of being sent to IITA, that is International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, during my NYSC days, and that was how I got to learn about agriculture and much more than that. Thanks to my former boss then, Dr. Nobet Maria, under Yam Improvement for Income and Food Security in West Africa, YIFSWA, I got to see agriculture in a different light, and much more than that, he gave me the opportunity to actually see what agriculture could do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of my background. I've been in agric now since 2012. Since 2012, 2013, that's well over, I think, 10 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we would say you got inspired in the course of your youth service, right? Okay, so why soilless farming?
So, yeah, while in school, like I said, I studied biochemistry. I always had questions that I did not have answers to.
All right.
And one of such questions was, I'll use a typical example of tomatoes. Nigerians consume a whole lot of tomatoes.
Yeah.
And one of the things we know from biochemistry was tomatoes contains a phytochemical, an antioxidant called lycopene, that has the power to prevent prostate cancer. But when you look at the Nigerian populace, especially the male folks, there is an increase in prostate cancer. So for me, while in school, it meant one of two things. One, either the school was lying,
Okay.
or the tomatoes was fake. But I mean, I could not just walk up to my lecturer and go, hey, can this really be true?
True.
Now, while in IITA, I remember because we were working on yam, and Dr. Maria goes, oh, this yam we are trying to work on, there needs to be palatability test, this test, that test. And I remember him having, they did this what you call blind testing, where you bring what you want to test versus the normal one people know, but you don't label it.
Okay.
So that people are not biased in saying this is better than this. And it suddenly hit me that, oh, school did not lie, our products were fake.
Okay.
Fake because, yes, it was tomatoes, but if it is not grown right, the level of lycopene that will be present will not be the expected amount. Unfortunately, when you are in the lab and you say, eat this to prevent this, eat this to get this, their assumption is the food is healthy.
Yes.
So if I say eat carrots, it is good for your eyes.
Yeah.
The question is, what if that carrot is not properly grown? It cannot do the job it was meant to do. And I mean, as a novice then, it felt easy to say the farmers were at fault. But again, because I was in IITA, it was easier to understand where the farmers were coming from. There I realized there were two major sects of farmers. Those farming for survival, which means it's not about the health of the crop. It's not even about the health of the farmer. It's just about living to the next day. So they don't care about what goes in. It's about, can somebody eat this food? Will somebody pay for it? Will I survive? And unfortunately, this set of farmers even eat what they produce. On the flip side, we are those who was about everything is fine as long as it makes profits. Everything is good as long as it makes profit. And with that, I saw there was a gap. There was a gap in knowledge. There was a gap in technology. So we needed a technology that was to some extent foolproof, meaning I needed to do it right for the technology to work.
Okay.
That was the whole concept of bringing in soilless farming to say, okay, and fortunately back then in IIT, we were working on aeroponics for yam. So moving it for other crops was not a hard decision. It was just, how can we make this healthier? How can this be better for the populace? Of course, it wasn't like we were trying to get healthy food and run at a loss. It still had to be profitable. But this time around, first, the farmer had to be healthy. The consumer had to be healthy. And most importantly, the environment has to be healthy. So, yeah.
And then, of course, profitable.
No, it had to be, because like I would always say, if the system is not profitable, it is not sustainable. Which means with time, the system will die out.
Yeah, that's true. So what challenges have you faced as a farmer in Nigeria, especially in this environment?
Yeah, I think my own, because of the kind of farming I ventured into, my challenges were a bit different from the norm.
Okay.
So I think the first one I had was being labeled demonic.
And why was that?
You are growing plants without soil. God that created soil has kept everything the plant needs in soil. This thing you are doing is satanic, and that was why when CNN was to cover my story years back, they used the term wizard farmer. Not because they coined it, but because that was like the terminology.
Okay.
This is not scriptural, this is not this. A whole lot. And that was a big challenge. It took a while to get people to understand there is nothing demonic about this. There is nothing satanic about this. We are not going against culture. It's just technology. That was the first. After people started accepting that I was not the devil in human form to bring 666, the next one was, okay, you are here to keep people. This food has to be unhealthy. Like, I mean, you did not grow it with soil. It's unhealthy. And, you know, Nigerians like labels. They just like terminologies. This is GMO. This is this, this is that. And that was a big gap to try to fill with knowledge, to say, okay, this is what this is what it means. It was a whole lot of teaching. That took a while, maybe about a year or two, before people now got to the point of, is it profitable? So now we are in the era of how profitable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been challenging step by step, but now we are in the how profitable.
And how do you stay motivated? When I mean how do you stay motivated? Okay, you have already described the challenges of the demonic parts and stuff. How did you overcome that? It's not just the teaching. Of course, you have to keep teaching, because even before people got to know you were teaching. So you had to keep teaching. So what exactly was it that got people's thoughts away from that satanic concept? And what motivated you to keep pushing to get that thought out?
So two major things. Number one was the scripture. That sounds weird. There is this part of the scripture that I anchored the whole soilless farming on, and that was the part where the Bible talked about the fact that Jesus was hungry and he was under a fig tree.
Okay.
And he looked at the tree for fruit and there was nothing, and he cursed the tree.
Okay.
Now, what was the standout for me was the fact that he said the tree was not in season, which means he knew this was not the season for you to bear fruit. Yet, he cursed the tree for not having fruit. And what that simply told me was, everything God created, God expects you to bear fruit in all season. So, seasonal production qualifies you for a curse. And if as a country we need to get out of that curse, we need to get away from seasonal production. You go to Europe, they don't have season for mango. There is always fresh mango on the shelf.
Yeah.
There's always fresh apple on the shelf.
True.
Why do we have the time you have mango and there is no mango? We are operating under a curse. We need to be intentional about saying, we need to break this. And there is technology to do it. There is the science to do it. And that for me was one big motivation. Number two was, the alternative was to not do anything and be poor. I can't be poor. So if it meant explaining again and again and again, as long as I know what I was saying was the truth. I mean, the Bible told us that Jonah preached for about God knows how many years when he was building the boat. About 40 years, and got only 8 converts who entered the boat with him. Mine is not that bad. So yeah.
Okay, all right. So could you share lessons you have learned through the years? Like I want to, and some of your mistakes, honest mistakes now, right? Because we know that just like every other business, just like every other venture, it's there's always the learning phase. So just a few lessons.
Yeah, I think my first major lesson / mistake would be, because I was in IITA when I started, I mean, I understood research, it was beautiful. Transitioning from research to business was a big hurdle.
Okay.
Because business is about profit. Research is about results. So I felt as long as I am getting results, I could just get into business. And the first business I did, or the first major contract I got, was in hundreds of millions. By the time I was done, I made a good loss because I did not understand business.
Okay.
I understood research. And what that simply told me was, anybody coming into a business for the first time, your knowledge is not enough. You need to be humble enough to stay under those who are already in business. That for me was like a big lesson that I had to learn from. Number two was the era of crowdfunding. I mean, I was part of that at some point, and I learned a lot. And one of my biggest takeaway was, crowdfunding is not the best for a startup. It's an easy way to get money, but it's the easiest route to enter poverty and debt. So I learned later that it's important that I use my money to build first. Use my money to understand the process, understand what works, understand what brings money, so that by the time I am taking other people's money, I am putting their money into where there is a system. Already. Exactly. And that was a very big lesson for me, that you need to use your money. And also, I mean, that there is also a limit to how much you should take. Because the problem with success is people want to trust you with money. But if you don't have a need for the money, I know that yes, one of the biggest stories around Silicon Valley is they'll tell you raise as much money as you can. But in agric, I have learned is raise as much money as you need, not as you can. Because by the time you take too much money, you lose your ability to negotiate. You lose your ability to get things for free. You lose your ability to get things that you can pay for later. Because the money is with you, you want to pay for everything now. which does not work. So it's important that as in my journey, I realized I need to know what are those things I can get for free, what are those things I can pay for later, then what are those things that I really need to pay for now. Then I got to understand what is my actual strength, what am I really selling, such that I am able to take out every other thing as distraction, give it to other people to become their business, but together we create a product. Yeah.
So, from your experience and in your own opinion, how would you describe a successful farmer?
A successful farmer is a farmer that sells.
A farmer that sells.
You need to sell, you need to have cash flow. I have learned cash flow is more important than profit.
Okay.
Cash flow means there is money coming and going, money coming and going, money. It's way more important.
So when you say to sell, does that mean regardless of the quality of your farm produce now?
So whether you are getting grade F farm produce, as long as there are people willing to buy it and it is profitable for you, sell.
Sell it.
That's because at the end of the day, if you are not selling, you are not in business. I always say, like my guy will say, it is called agribusiness.
Yeah.
Typical agriculture is the act of tilling the soil and rearing animals. Nobody pays you for that. I don't know any farmer that a person came to their farm and knocked and like, hey, I heard you're a farmer, take money. No. You must have something to sell. So, for me to say I am a successful farmer, my produce have a ready market at an agreed price. Not that I am gambling, meaning I don't know what the market will buy my product until I get there. You are not in business, you are gambling. Because if you get there, the market says 10 naira, you sell. Tomorrow they say it's 15 naira, you sell. Next tomorrow they say it's 5 naira, you sell. That is not business. I mean, I don't know how many times people walk into a shop to buy a phone and the phone seller tells you, I don't know how much they're going to buy phone today when they until people come. No. Every other business I know, they fix their price. So until the farmer gets to that level, it's gambling.
Decides on his own price. All right. So I'm going to take it back a little bit. When you were trying to share some of those mistakes, you mentioned something about you not differentiating between research and the business. So what I take from it is that you do believe in mentorship.
Yeah.
Right? So how long were you mentored in the Soiless Farm, and was your mentor really like? Because I'm still going back to what inspired you to go into Soiless.
In Soiless Farming, my mentor is Dr. Nubet Maria. That was my boss in IITA.
Okay.
He was the only Soiless farmer I knew in Nigeria. It's not the world. He was the only farmer I knew that was into Soiless farming, and that was the only person I could run up to. In business, I still have mentors. All the people on the wall at the top, they are all mentors. They are not done.
Okay.
Because for every level you get to in business, there is a new demon they have fought before.
Yeah.
So I still run to them to say, oh, daddy, mommy, I thought this would go like this did not go like this. What do I do? So you don't outgrow, from what I know, I may be wrong, you don't outgrow mentorship.
Okay.
Because there are things you don't know. You are not a compendium of all the knowledge. So there are still people you need to know, okay, how do I deal with this crisis? How do I navigate this pathway and stuff like that here? Okay.
All right. So are there recent milestones, recent achievements you've had in the Soilless farm space?
Like all them achievements, I mean, a lot more young people today are interested in agric.
Okay.
And for me, that is beautiful to see. A lot more are finding their way in the value chain. So that we train them as farmers does not mean they all go out to become farmers. Some are picking up logistics, processing, marketing, input supplier. And for me, that is beautiful. That today I can go online, for example, Facebook, and I see people adding farmer to their name. That for me is beautiful. It means there is a change in the perception of what farmers used to connote. That now people are happy to
be
identify
identified as
with that
farmers.
word farmer. And I mean, sometimes the last 2 months, some of the students that we trained from Niger State went back to their state, and the governor of the state, Governor Badu, I hope I got his name right, added farmer to his title. So he's now called Farmer Governor.
Oh,
And
that's
for me,
interesting.
for a governor to agree publicly that farmer has to be added as
to
his
his-
title, it shows that the impact is there, because the first thing we need to change is the perception. And that change in perception, I mean, you have a lot of young people telling us, oh, we want to come for training, we want to come for training, interpretation. These are people that are seeing multiple options and they are saying, I want to go and train to be a farmer. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, in the course of your training, because I've been following you for a while, I see that you train thousands of youths. Do you have collaborations, or is this just Soilless Farm Lab?
No, we have a lot
you
of
have to-
collaborations, a lot. We have with Mastercard Foundation, we have with Blue Brain, we have with ETK, a lot.
Okay.
The only difference is it's happening on Soiless Farm Lab's premises.
Okay.
But it's not a story of just us doing all the training.
All right.
There are other organizations who play other major key roles.
Okay.
Some provide their input for free, some provide funding like Mastercard Foundation for their training. I mean, Mastercard Foundation even pays the people that are coming for training.
Okay.
At the moment, they earn about 40,000 naira per month to be trained. And in Nigeria's economy, that is a lot coming for free, because the training is free and you still get paid.
And so, about how many students do you train at a time? Like,
we have 1,000 students right now in the premises.
And you have accommodation for them?
For all of them, yes.
That's beautiful. That's interesting. So, a little bit still on this Soilless Farm. Soilless farming, we know there's the hydroponics, there's the aeroponics, there's the vertical farming. So, which of them do you really...
So we do hydroponics, we have aeroponics, we have vertical farming.
Okay.
But I think just for people to understand, when we say vertical farming does not have to be soilless. It can be soil.
Oh.
If I take a container, like I know the shoe rack of those days, if I put a shoe rack on the wall and I put soil and I plant mint inside, it's vertical farming already.
Oh, okay.
But that is soil.
That is
So
soil.
vertical farming is simply you are planting vertically upwards rather than the traditional horizontal. Hydroponics in simple terms is provision of nutrients inside a water-rich medium. And then aeroponics is the water is in the air, the nutrient is in an air area, a misty environment. So yeah, we do the three.
Okay. And I know that not all... You mentioned yam. So what system of farming do you use for yam?
For yam, it's aeroponics. We paused that for now because, I mean, like I said, it has to be profitable.
Okay.
Yam will take about a year to be ready.
Okay.
Vegetables will take about a month
to be ready.
And in my head, as a businessman, in a year I can do about 12 cycles of vegetables. Why am I waiting for yam? God will feed the hungry.
But traditionally, how long does it take for yam to grow in the soil?
9 to 10 months.
Okay, so it's about the same thing.
Yeah, so with aeroponics, we are not using aeroponics to grow the ware yam that you eat.
Okay.
Aeroponics is used to grow the seeds.
The seed, okay.
So I'm sure you that bought yam in your house one time and inside the yam has spoiled. That's because of the pathogens and all, because the seed is not good.
Okay.
So the whole essence of aeroponics was to provide clean seed yams, give it to the traditional farmers, who will plant it in soil. And from there, you now have yam that even if you leave it for 1 year in your house, it's still very good inside.
That's beautiful. So, and that could be done with cassava, cocoyam, and other tuber crops.
Yes.
Oh, I used to think the Soilless farm was just vegetables. Then you also said something about mangoes. How possible is it for us to have mangoes, not GMO mangoes now, organic mangoes, and grown yet not seasonal?
It's simple. Why is a plant seasonal? Why do you think, why is plant seasonal?
I think that's because they have to thrive under certain atmosphere.
The weather changes.
Yeah.
Rainy season goes. The plant realizes I can no longer produce. It dies.
Yeah.
What if I could provide water artificially?
Okay.
Will the plant not thrive?
Yeah, it will thrive.
All it takes is irrigation. There is nothing special.
Constant irrigation. Okay.
Nigeria and Israel have similar weather. In short, Israel have more of a weather like the north than the south.
Okay.
Yet, they are one of the most productive countries when it comes to agric. Even in their their war-torn zone, they are still producing.
They feed themselves. Yeah.
That is because they have adopted irrigation. But here, we still wait on seasons to produce. It's rainy season, we plant. It's dry season, we fold arms and wait and be hungry.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so I understand that. Thank you very much for your time. We'll go on a short break now and then we'll be back.